Hello, Jonesboro, and good morning. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Partly to mostly sunny today with temperatures about 45 to 50, a west wind at 10. Mostly clear overnight around 32. An increasing chance of rain late in the day Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy in the mid-40s. Rain showers Thursday night and occasional rain showers Friday, mostly cloudy skies, the high around 40 or so. Rain showers and maybe some wet snow showers mixed in over the weekend with temperatures in the 30s. We'll keep you updated. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. France's Yellow Vest protesters have rejected a freeze on the fuel tax hike that sparked the demonstrations as too little, too late. Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who's investigating claims of Russian meddling in the 2016 US election, says he won't be looking for a jail sentence for former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. UK MPs are debating Theresa May's Brexit deal for a second day, and India has launched its heaviest satellite from French Guiana.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Kabila Jones, along with Leganzi Kell, and our special guest today is the first Wednesday of the month, so you know it is Chief Rick Elliott from the Jonesboro Police Department. Good morning, Chief.
And good morning, everyone.
All right, so for those of you who may have missed it, Chief was on with Bible study on with Reverend Ota this morning, so you might want to go back and watch the video. It got a lot of feedback, a lot of following, so I'm guessing the message was awesome. So, but without further ado, we're going to get into some of our topics for today. Well, it's kind of a potpourri of topics, right. Just kind of following up on things that have happened in the month of November, what's coming for the month of December, and then of course, we're getting into the holiday season, so again, safety tips, how to keep your cars and homes and yourself safe during this holiday season. And before we get into all of that, I want to just kind of follow up on the conversation we had last month with Sergeant Lyle Waterworth and Officer Higgins. We talked about Narcan because I saw an article a lady wrote. She was in traffic. Someone was experienced an overdose and how the whole situation played out, and there were several people saying that as citizens they wanted to keep Narcan on them, and I asked Sergeant, was that even possible for a citizen to keep?
It is.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Okay. And so Chief actually brought his kit to show us what comes in a kit.
Yeah. Each officer is issued a called an opioid overdose naloxone kit. It's just I'm not sure where the camera is, but anyway, it's
Can I see?
Can you see that?
This camera's right here.
Okay. Anyway, it's a red kit with a white cross on it, and inside the kit contains 2 Narcan single units that the officers can administer, and along with a set of gloves and a CPR shield. So oftentimes you encounter somebody that's has overdosed, and you administer the spray, and the drugs may have affected their respiratory system, and they may go to distress, and officers have to begin CPR. So we have a protective shield for that. But these kits, we had them, we pushed them out this year. The officers had to go through about an 8-hour class. Okay. And part of that was CPR training, so they're CPR certified, and then trained how to use the Narcan. And at this point, just this year alone, we've had 6 saves with these kits. Okay. So that is 6 residents this town that would probably have perished
in Jonesboro
alone if it weren't for the quick action officers getting on the scene and deploying their Narcan kit.
Wow. Now I want to ask this question for those with non-medical experience, backgrounds, or anything. How can the use of Narcan in a regular citizen's hand be maybe detrimental to the situation if they don't know if it's really an overdose.
So that's a good thing about the Narcan. If it's
well, no, that's actually a business call. So it's actually call our business line 870-203-9951.
Anyway, the Narcan is you're not going to hurt anyone if it's not an opioid overdose, if they're having some other medical issue.
Okay.
Say. And if the Narcan is deployed, then it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to make the situation any worse.
Okay.
So it's pretty safe to use, but it does have a very powerful effect on the opioids if somebody has overdosed.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I've heard of situations and it's being recommended now, if someone in your family is on opioid pain medicine, it's recommended that you have Narcan available in the house, just in case that family member accidentally overdoses.
Okay.
So, they may have forgotten to take the medication and double dosed or triple dosed or whatever. If they're, either intentionally or accidentally overdosed, then it'd be safe to have that in the house. Okay. And I've even heard of some pharmacies are including in the prescription. So I think we'll see some changes in that, and it's a good change. But again, if you do have family members with it, you can go to the drugstores and you can get this.
Okay. I would like to really encourage everyone to start looking into becoming CPR certified.
Absolutely.
No matter what field you work in, you never know when that skill will come in handy. You may be out and about somewhere in a restaurant or bus station, airport, just wherever.
Even more important, your family.
Yes.
It's holiday season, families get together and everybody eats a big meal. The next thing you know, somebody's falling out on the floor with a heart attack.
Yes.
And, if you're not trained, you're standing there feeling helpless until somebody that is trained has to drive to your location and hopefully save them. And moments are very precious, and if you are trained in that, then you could help save a life of a loved one or a friend or just a stranger. So it is a good training to have. Everyone should have it, and it's just kind of like getting into our next segment on learning how to stop the bleeding.
Okay.
If you have major bleeding, a severed artery or anything, what's basic first aid to stop and control that bleeding.
Okay.
So, we kind of moving ahead to talking about the IFAC training that our officers had gone through, which is basically a tourniquet training. And the past couple of years, every officer in the department has gone through training on bleeding control.
Okay.
And after their officers completed an 8-hour class on that, they were issued the IFAC. IFAC is short for Individual First Aid Kit.
Okay.
And this kit contains a tourniquet, gauze, and shears, and a chest seal. So any major bleeding situation, there's enough in here to control it until help can arrive. So the important thing in the kit is the tourniquets. If you have a severed artery or
sanitizable?
No, it's disposable.
Okay.
It's a one-time use. Once it gets bloody, they're thrown away.
Okay.
But with this tourniquet, you have a limb that you get a severe laceration, cut, whatever. You can stop the bleeding by applying pressure on that artery with the use of the tourniquet and stop the bleeding and save a life. Because, if you sever an artery, you can bleed out in 3-5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And time you think how long it takes an ambulance to get to you, if you're not doing anything to stop the bleeding, the time the ambulance gets there, there's not be much hope for you.
Right. Got a Facebook shout out to David Carnes, who says, "Good morning to KLEK and Chief Rick Elliott. Blessed I was able to catch the Bible study this morning. Very proud of our police chief and all that he does in the community. Chief Elliott has been very influential to me in my life since taking the CPA class."
Yes, David. David has even started the reserve program in law enforcement, so I think that CPA has sparked his interest. And
that's 3 now.
So I certainly appreciate what David has done for CPA and the fact that he's, doing this part-time along with his other job, plus CPA stuff. So his life's become very complex.
We also got shout-outs to A.O. Biles, Helen Scott, Kimberly Davis, Cassie Brandon, Helen Scott, Denise Mason-Jones, Kate Holliday, and OG Somlar.
Good morning, everyone.
And Denise Mason-Jones says, "Love you, lady."
Good morning. All right, so again, just as we encourage everyone to take CPR classes, is there a class that individuals, citizens can take concerning? I know that the police department was granted these through a grant.
These kits were funded through a grant provided through the Blue and You Foundation, which is the foundation of Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay.
There is a local nonprofit organization called Stop the Bleeding Foundation, and we have officers that are a part of this, and there's local doctors that put this thing together.
Okay.
And their goal is to train every first responder in the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
So we started here in Jonesboro and in the local area, law enforcement and first responders going through this training.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, after graduation of the class, each officer is issued one of these kits, and it's about $100 worth of equipment in here.
Wow.
So this stuff is not cheap, but does cost a lot of money. Stop the Bleeding Foundation was recently awarded another $149,000 for this coming year to continue the training and continue to provide these kits to first responders.
Okay.
So it's been a great program, a huge success, but more important, it's saving lives. We've been deploying these the past couple of years, and last year I think we had somewhere between 8 and 10 tourniquet saves.
Wow.
And then this year I think we're up to 5 or 6.
Okay.
So I don't have the exact numbers with me, but I do recognize these officers that have saved a life at our award ceremony in the month of December. But if it wasn't for these 2 kits in the hands of the officers, you look at the total numbers, and there's 12, 15 people that would not be here today if it wasn't for their quick action and the fact that they had these two kits in their car with them.
That's awesome. I would thank JPD and all the law enforcement and first responders for the work that you do. Again, consider getting CPA certified. CPR. Oh my God. What's the?
It's all good.
Also, you can do CPA certified. We'll start our next class.
And we'll get to that in just a moment. We got some more Facebook shout-outs. Shout out to Melissa Tomley Elliott, Cora Evans Hester, Brad Dillon, and James Bickham.
All right, it's CPR certified. Forgive me. It's something great to add to your skill set. I did a class years ago, and I really need to do it again. Mm-hmm. You just never know when it may come in handy. All right, so let's talk about some things that happened in the month of November. We know that November was No Shave November. For a lot of organizations, businesses participate in this, and it was a cause to raise funds for different charities, and you all participated with the local food bank.
We did. We called our campaign Fuzz for Food, and I suspended the department policy for 30 days. The officers had to make a $30 donation to the food bank.
Okay.
And everyone seemed to jump on board. We raised almost $2,700.
Wow.
For the local food bank. And
so what the officers
that provides over almost 11,000 meals.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
are the officers just looking forward to not shaving, or they just want to see how long it can grow? Or
well, you get people that's always had to shave their whole life. They've been involved in this job for any amount of time. You couldn't have a beard, and you get a chance to grow a beard, and they look a little different.
Oh, goodness.
So I was proud of the fact that so much money was raised and such a good cause. Because again, the food bank this time of year, they're stretched thin. You got the holiday season, and we have families in town that are reaching out, and it's just a way to give back a little bit more to the community and hopefully provide some meals for the families during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. You know, that may not have it otherwise.
Okay. Did you see any officers just let it go real far? Like, did most of them keep it neat?
Well, in a month's time, they couldn't get too wild.
Okay.
So they had to keep them kind of, the edges trimmed up nice and neat. So the other day, I went ahead and extended it one more month.
Okay.
I was so proud of what they have accomplished, and I think it was a good morale booster, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. So it was my Christmas present back to them. I let them keep them one more month this year.
Okay.
All right,
So
we got a question on our live feed from Helen Scott, who says, how often will the officers be retrained in first aid, or new recruits trained also?
absolutely, new recruits get this training in the basic academy now.
Okay.
So when they go through the academy, they're getting their IFACs issued to them before they graduate the academy, and so when they complete the class. CPR certification, it'll be every 2 or 3 years that we'll put everybody through a refresher. And the same thing with this. If they don't use these tools, we'll have refreshers, just kind of an update. But the tools in this kit are very simple to use. Once you understand the basic principle of how to apply a tourniquet either to yourself or others, then it's not a skill set that you constantly have to work on. It's pretty simple. It's very simple design, but also very effective.
Okay. I have a question. This may seem kind of out there. We were having a discussion off air about an officer in another department, another city, how they have been a public figure in their city, and because the individuals can relate to them.
Sure.
And I was just thinking about, with, I know the JPD or most police departments have a code, not to say dress code, a policy of how you're supposed to look, maybe hiding tattoos and different other appearance things. If you saw a need to have an officer really represent the people that they serve and be their primary role is to be the community liaison, would you relax the policy a little bit for that person just so that they can really connect and look more like the people that they're interacting with?
Well, again, it depends what exact policy you're talking about.
Well, okay, let's just say with tattoo. What is your policy on tattoos?
Yeah, if you have tattoos on your arms, then the officer has to wear long sleeve shirts.
Okay.
And if you have tattoos on the neck and above, then you won't even get hired.
Okay.
So,
Well,
as far as
But I think what Q may be talking about is maybe like when that officer goes out in public, instead of being in a full uniform, maybe like slacks and a polo shirt, maybe a little bit more casual than the full uniform.
Right.
Is that what you're getting at, Q?
Yeah, but still representing the police department with either,
There a lot of departments are changing their tattoo policies as far as what people have on their arms, tattoo-wise. And, not saying I'm not opposed to re-looking at that policy somewhere down the road, because tattoos on the arms or anywhere are commonly accepted nowadays, and people don't pay a whole lot of attention to them anymore. And so a lot of agencies across the country are relaxing that policy and allowing officers to have tattoos showing.
Okay.
So, but again, it depends on the officer you're talking about, another agency. It just depends. You can't do something for one person and not the whole department, because that's not a fair system. So if you're going to do it, then you have to do it for everybody.
I think it would also depend on what the tattoo actually says. You wouldn't want
Yes.
someone showing a tattoo that's offensive.
I do understand that. I just know that sometimes people in communities feel that they can relate more if the officer looks or has a similar vibe.
Sure.
And I know, again, the officer has a job to do, so he can't be too relaxed.
Right.
So the people then try to take advantage of that, but at the same time,
There's a fine line.
yes. Okay. I'm just wondering.
We call it the thin blue line.
Oh, okay, that's what that means.
That's what that means. Where the thin blue line stands between good and evil.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was today years old when I learned what that really means.
We got a comment from Helen Scott, who said Mr. T would look great in a 5-0 uniform.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
Ellen, appreciate that. We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. If you have a question for Chief Elliott, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook Live feed. Shout out to Pamela Coleman KM and Kimberly Davis.
Right, and so before we go to break, let's touch on Shop with the Cop, which recently happened as well. I know this is a really big event, so we have like 2 minutes.
Sure. Shop with the Cop was this past weekend. Our local Fraternal Order of the Police chapter always sponsors this event every year. It's been a huge success every year, and it gives some kids that are underprivileged a chance to get out and spend time with a police officer and buy a Christmas gift for himself. And a lot of times that child's using that money designated for them to also provide for his family, his or her family. So even a young child, he's always thinking of his family also during this time. So that's heartwarming that, he wants a little something, but he wants his family to have something also.
Awesome.
So great event.
So about how many kids do you know that were you able to serve?
I did not get the total count from this weekend. I think it's around 30, but I've not talked to Nathan Coleman to get the exact number that they end up serving this go around. Okay.
Now, are there any other fundraisers, charities or fundraisers that you all are participating in besides the food bank, the Fuzz?
Fuzz for Food? No, not at this point. We're kind of at the end of year winding down, so December is kind of wind down, and January kind of start over and new budget year and get things back going. And
we can talk about that on the other side of the break.
Sure.
What are some of the new things that you are anticipating in next year's budget, some things that you want to implement?
Okay.
Of course, that is all on the way on the other side of the break. We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. We got a couple more shout-outs. Shout out to Chelsea Chapman and Tanya Ford Guerra. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking in on our Facebook Live feed. But don't go anywhere. We're going to get ready to go to a break. So we'll be back with more. This is Community Conversations on KLEK from 2.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
What can we learn about life from baseball? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Here are 3 life lessons from one of America's favorite pastimes. First, patience is a virtue. The desire today for instant success is overwhelming. But baseball shows us that even the best players only hit the ball about 3 out of 10 times. So having patience is key to succeeding in baseball and in life. Second, baseball teaches us how to deal with pressure. It takes less than a half a second for a ball to travel from pitcher to catcher. A batter must stay really focused under pressure to hit the ball. Well, with the pressures of daily living, it's important for us to stay focused on what's really important, our relationships. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Hey everyone, this is Brother Cos from Victory Praise Gospel and All Gospel Wednesdays, and I want to invite you to KLEK first ever Gospel Skate Party on December 11th at Twilight Skate, located at 2700 Phillip Drive. Get ready to listen to your favorite gospel song while you skate from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's only $5 to get in and $1.50 for skate rentals. We want to see you at Twilight Skate Tuesday, December 11th for a KLEK Gospel Skate Party. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by...
A few years ago, a customer of ours was very upset over a new car that he bought a couple of weeks ago. It was making a loud noise when he turned his heater on. Our technicians called me back to the service department and showed me where mice had put a bunch of peanut hulls in his heater fan box. I called Billy and I said, "Do you have any peanuts, Billy?" He said, "Sure, I've got a whole bag full in the garage." I said, "I don't think you got as many as you think you do." I said, "That's the problem. Glenn sane, and God bless our troops."
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated presents our Christmas party, December 7th, 7:30 p.m., God's Grill on Hilltop in Jonesboro. There will be a live DJ, food, dancing, and fun. This event is for adults only and is open to the public. A portion of the proceeds will go towards our 2019 Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Fund. More information is available at www.jonesboroalumni.dst.org and at www.klekfm.org under Community Events.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. And we got another Facebook shout out from Chelsea Chapman, who says, "Good morning, all." Well, good morning, Chelsea. And of course, if you have a question or a comment for Chief Elliott, you can leave them on our live feed, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Before we went to break, I believe we were talking about the upcoming budget that Chief was working on and some of the things that he hopes to implement in the coming year.
Sure. Of course, as you read in the paper, that it's budget time for the city, and we went through a budgeting process past several months. We start working on our budget about July. So, the general public doesn't realize that when you're working on budgets, it's an ongoing process. And when you put together a budget, that's what you anticipate for the upcoming year. There's always going to be things that you didn't budget for that you have to go back before the council and acquire maybe some additional funds for something that just wasn't anticipated. So it's hard to anticipate everything I want to need in 2019, in July. But it's a lengthy process, and we try to manage with the dollars that we're presented to work with, and I think overall this year the city has a leaner budget than it did last year, and it's based on the money that we have to work with. It's like your checkbook and my checkbook; you can only spend what you got, and and so every department had to make some cuts, and that's just part of it. But overall, it won't affect our services. I take what I have to work with and restructure, maybe do some shifting to be, as efficient as we can be. So we do have some changes, internal changes coming the first year. There's some personnel shift moving that will be taking place. Looking at bringing in a civilian public information specialist sometime in the first year, and our David McDaniel, who's doing our PO stuff now, will be promoted and moved to the patrol division. So Dave's done an excellent job for us, but he is up for a promotion, and he'll have to move to a different division to be promoted. So I'm going to go back with a civilian for this spot and try to get our social media app back up and our website back up and going. Our website's currently down, undergoing some changes, and hopefully we'll have that live here in the next week or so. And then after the first year, we want to keep the content as fresh and updated as we can, and current pictures and things like that. So it's pretty much a full-time job for whoever's going to manage that. So that'll be my media person. So expect some changes and, keep things flowing with the public and access us and see what we're doing day in and day out.
Well, we definitely look forward to whoever this person that you choose. I'm sure that once you have that person in place, you will bring them on to a future show with you.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into holiday season. Is in full swing. People are out shopping more, and it's getting dark early, and people are out later still. And so I'm just looking at a report where just over the weekend, 11 vehicles were broken into in different locations. So these were residential, mostly residential. But
we're still having a problem with people not locking their vehicles at their house. For the most part, they're not breaking out glass to get in. They're just accessing vehicles that are left unlocked and stealing iPads, phones, guns, purses, computers, whatever that's of value that you've left inside your unlocked vehicle. And so, no, I don't care where you live in the city. Just lock your vehicle at night and secure your valuables. But more important, don't leave them in plain sight. Take them in with you or put them in the trunk. But because, if it's something they really want, they will knock the glass out to get it. So just do your part and be responsible, and don't be the victim.
I even say be mindful of putting things in your trunk. Some people can be sitting and watching, and they could be in nice neighborhoods. It could be in any neighborhood, and they could be watching you and seeing, just kind of watching your routine. They may not attack you that day, make a move that day on your vehicle or your home, but they could be doing RICO. They call RICO. Gathering information.
Well, that goes just back up in general. You need to be mindful when you're out and about. Be mindful of what's going on around you. When you pull into the parking lot at, say, the mall or Walmart or wherever you are shopping at, put your phone up. There's nobody you need to text or talk to while you're walking from the vehicle to the business or coming out of the business back to your vehicle. It's not that important. It can wait till you can get secured inside your vehicle. So you get out, and if you see somebody on the parking lot that you don't get a good feeling about, then either go back to your vehicle or go back in the store and have store management maybe to walk out with you, or bring it to somebody's attention. Because sometimes there are people lurking around looking to victimize somebody, and what they're looking for is the one that's not paying attention, the one that's distracted on the phone. They're going to run up, and you're going to be the victim. Now, as opposed to if you're looking at that person, they know that you can identify them because you've looked at them, and you've made them actually uncomfortable. So they're going to find an easier target. So you can do just some minimal things to increase your safety. And the biggest thing is when you're heading out of the car, going to the store, coming out of the store, keep the phone in your pocket or your purse until you get secured inside either one. But don't text, don't be talking on the phone in the parking lot. One, you're distracted, and sometimes people drive through parking lots too fast. Somebody may back out and run into you because you're distracted, and they didn't see you and you don't see them, and the next thing you know, you're hurt. So a lot of things can happen on parking lots. This is a busy time of year for everybody. A lot of people out shopping, things like that. Some people get in a hurry and not mindful of others. So you got to be more conscientious on, your surroundings and what you're doing. When you do get inside the business, keep up with your purse. Don't leave the purse in the shopping cart and go walk off looking at different things and you're leaving your purse unattended, because we see a lot of wallet thefts, incidents like that. So just be a little bit more conscious of what you're doing. This time of year, you should do this year round, all the time, but this time of year, it can ruin your Christmas if you're a victim of a crime. And so do your part and don't be that victim.
Got a Facebook shout out to CJ Pepper and James Bickham, and then we got a question from Helen Scott who says, what is the goal response time around the city for police assistance?
Yeah, it depends on the priority or how the call comes in. If it's low priority, high priority, you're looking at 3 to 5 minutes on the high priority. We run anywhere 15, maybe 20 officers a shift. We have 80 square miles of city limits. So there's a lot of area to cover. You know, Jonesboro, the city limits of Jonesboro is bigger than the city of St. Louis as far as square miles. So with that few officers and that much territory to cover, you know, they're spread thin. And then you get the calls that are already taking place this time of year and the accidents that are taking place. You know, depending on time of day, you know, the response time can be even longer. So we again, the calls come in and they're ranked by a priority, low, medium, and high. If it's a high priority, may have to break somebody free from another call and go and get them en route.
Now, what kind of calls would get categorized as high, medium, and low?
Well, you get, so your high priority, you get the accident with injury, you get somebody that's being hurt, assaulted, you know, things like that, some act of violence, then that's going to be a high priority type of call. If there's a situation, you need the police there really quick. Not because you just had your bike stolen, but you know, if there's some act of violence being involved, that's high priority. Low priority, you know, you came home and somebody stole your bike from the front porch. Okay, we'll get to that when we get to it, if there's a lot of calls going on. So, you know,
not that it's not important, but
it's not. Yeah, it's still important. But on the other hand, we have to take priority, high priority, medium first, and then low priorities come whenever we can get to them. So overall, calls don't stack up very long, but there have been times when calls are stacked. And say if we get situations with bad wrecks where it takes several officers to work a wreck.
And that's actually happened some last week.
It did. And so there are a lot of calls that may be waiting 30, 40 minutes or an hour. It just, you know, it just depends. So the supervisors are constantly monitoring the calls. They have everything on their screen in front of them, so they try to shift people around and you know, get the calls. And some calls that can be taken over the phone, like your stolen bike, then they'll refer those to the desk sergeant that, you know, instead of sending an officer out, you need to call the desk sergeant and just take that report on the phone. So
has it ever been so busy that there were no other officers available and you actually had to go out yourself and investigate?
Well, it depends on the incident. If it's a critical incident, then I'm on the scene, so no, I'm not going to be taking calls. But yeah, there's been times I listen to radio traffic that, you know, everything's going on, and if I'm nearby, yeah, I'll take a call. I have no problem taking a call, and you know, I will stop a car for an infraction, and I will write a ticket. And you know, I'm just like everybody else. My job as a sworn officer, you know, to uphold the law. You know, I got other duties to do along with that, but I'm not above and beyond of handling a call or assisting an officer on a call.
Okay. There's one thing I want to bring up concerning emergency situations, and Mr. Jeff Presley has talked about this when he's come on before, and it's Smart 911.
Sure.
And so anyone can set up a profile, which I really encourage everyone to set up a profile online because it helps you if you're calling from a mobile device.
Right.
And if you're in one of those situations where you have to use your device or someone's approaching you, you may be under attack and you have your phone in your hand, you can press your power button several times. I don't want to do it because I don't know if it's going to call directly to. If you press, I think it's like 3 to 5 times, so kind of, you know, steady presses, it links you directly to the nearest emergency call center.
Right.
So that way, if you are under attack, you don't bring too much awareness to what you're doing, you know. So those are just some things to consider to keep yourself safe as well. And then, okay, again, in those situations where you see something happening, you have to use your cell phone, the operator can lock in where you are if your profile is in the system.
Right.
Even if you're not directly involved in an accident, they can still get a more accurate location.
Right.
So, again, go to smart911.com, set up your profile. There's, you know, it will take a few moments, and I'm hoping to get Mr. Jeff and his team to come out to some various events and start doing some of these remotely.
It's a great program, and it's a secure website. Nobody has access to it. We cannot look at your profile and your data. Only when you call 911, this is going to pop up on dispatch screen. It's going to tell you who you are, And you can list in your vehicles and family members, pets. You can add pictures or whatever, medical conditions. So there's a lot of information, life-saving information that's available, because you just don't get this connection anymore with cells like we did with the home phone, the landline. Because you dialed off your home, the old landline, it would tell us your address. Well, you don't get that on your cell phone anymore. So with Smart 911, when you do call, it will show us your home address. Okay. So if you cannot speak or whatever, we at least have a starting point that, hey, this is the home address for this person, and that's the first place we're going to start sending resources to.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Great program.
I do want to ask, and this may seem a little far-fetched, in today's time, today's climate, when it comes to crime and whatnot, you know, some people just kind of go off and do their own thing. They don't tell anybody where they're going, and unfortunately we see stories of people come up missing and whatnot. With what's going on, should people start to be a little more mindful about just letting at least one person know?
Well, sure. It's always great to let your family members know what you're doing. Sometimes, you know, you break down or whatever. So if you plan on traveling or whatever, let folks in your family know that, you know, you're going to whatever, and here's the time frame and the route that you may be taking. And that way, if you don't show up, and then they can call law enforcement and say, you know, they were going to travel this route, and I last heard from them, and they were at this point. So it kind of helps narrow down, you know, to law enforcement what may happen. They can start going back looking at accidents, because if you're involved in an accident and say unresponsive, unconscious, laid up in the hospital, you can't tell anybody anything, and they can start kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together and say, well, we had an accident involving this vehicle and this name, and you know, and get the family directed to where they need to be.
Okay.
So,
I know I'll probably bring up, you know, scenarios that are worst case and whatnot, but you can never be too safe.
Life can happen.
Right.
So even if you're in your own hometown where you live, I mean, just still be aware. There are people that are criminals that that's just what they are and who they choose to be. Right. And so we have to protect ourselves against the possibility. I don't want people to live in a scared state of mind or state of being. However, be more aware. Lock your vehicles, you know.
Well, be more aware, lock your vehicles, just pay attention to what's going on, lock your house at night, your apartment, whatever. You know, a lot of problem we're having nowadays, people strung out on drugs, and they're out here having to steal and support their habit, and while they're high on drugs, you know, they're not thinking right, and they're irrational, and they do some crazy things, and they pose a huge threat not only to themselves, but to the general public. And we see that quite often. We get calls where somebody's acting, you know, strange or crazy or however how you want to call it, and you know, kind of find out they're messed up on some kind of drugs. So that's a even bigger problem for us nowadays is dealing with these kind of individuals. So that's why we had to go to these naloxone kits, because, you know, they're not only acting out and irrational and committing crimes, but they're essentially killing themselves or overdosing.
Wow.
So the drug problem in this country is not getting any better, and we need to kind of step back, take a look at things and what we can do to make our country a little bit better.
Yeah. And somewhere it's got to start with the individual person and then go up the chain somewhere.
Sure.
Again, I don't have the perfect answer. I have some answers, solutions, suggestions, but I don't know if anyone has the perfect answer.
I don't either, but I think if we all just kind of start working together and addressing the problem collectively as a community, you can accomplish a lot of things.
Yes, got another question from Helen Scott, who says, for those who abuse 911, what don't the police do?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm glad she brought that up.
Yeah. No, they're always going to answer 911, and then, if it's not a legitimate call, then, there could be consequences. But
what would the consequences be?
Well, there's actually, be charged.
Okay.
So, for communicating false alarm. So, we don't see that a whole lot. think most people respect 911, and now every now and then you'll get somebody to call and they couldn't find the other number, and the only thing they know to do is just dial 911 that my bike was stolen. Okay. Well, they give you the phone number and say, contact the non-emergency number, and we'll get your information there. We try to keep those lines freed up. Okay.
But I don't know if this was she was referencing, but this past year we have seen, and
we've talked about this before on the show,
a lot of phone calls. People living their life, doing things, and someone else made a call about them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most of those calls had some racial
undertones. Right.
Yes. And so, with the people who made the calls, will there ever be, is it the first time we've had warning? Would there, at some point, do you think there ever be a policy put in the books, state, national, federal, whatever? If you make a call that is unwarranted, is non-emergency, or it's a waste of police resources, you will be either cited or fined.
Well, in the citizen's mind, they may not see that's a waste of resources. They may see that as a concern. And we don't want to get to the point where we discourage people from calling in what they may think is suspicious behavior. Okay. So,
short answer, hard to define.
Short answer to your question, that would be very subjective in nature to say this call was unwarranted or whatever. And to enact a law on something like that, no, I don't foresee something like that happening. So yeah, it is unfortunate that sometimes people, make calls and say something suspicious when actually it's not. But that's just the perception that they have at the moment.
Shout out to Elizabeth Castile-Klein, and appreciate each and every one of you that are checking in on our Facebook Live feed. Of course, we're going to get ready to go to break, but when we come back, we will wrap up our segment with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. So don't go anywhere. You're tuned to Community Conversations, and this is KLEK on 2.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. One of the most important things to understand about debt is that the faster you pay down the principal amount owed, the less you end up spending on interest over time, and the sooner the debt is eliminated. This is the reason why you want to make the biggest possible payments each month on your credit card balances, even though your credit standing could be fine as long as you make the minimum payments. In fact, the bigger the debt and the higher the interest rate, the more it benefits you to pay it down more quickly than you have to. A great example of this is your home mortgage. Instead of going on a shopping spree, use your tax refund to reduce your mortgage principal, making an extra payment or two. Be sure to review these and all of your mortgage payment options with your mortgage lender, checking for things like prepayment penalties or other fees, as well as what it would take to reduce or waive them if possible. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. at AURN.com.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com. Starks Auto Plaza at 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard is a proud KLEK supporter, offering luxury pre-owned vehicles sold wholesale to the public. At Starks, we never say no. 870-203-9980. Details at starksautoplaza.com.
Jonesboro Coca-Cola is proud to support KLEK and its mission to serve Jonesboro and the surrounding area. From Jonesboro Coca-Cola, here's wishing all of KLEK listeners a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
My name is Destiny Lattimore. I am the 2018 Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Miss Black and Gold representing the Arkansas District. I need the Jonesboro community's help with a community service event I have planned for Christmas. Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock hosts a donation drive each year for Christmas called the Festival of Stars on December 14th. Festival of Stars will take place in Children's Hall from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., where toys will be dropped off all day. My donation goal is 1,000 toys. I know this is possible if we all work together. Toys may be dropped off at the KLEK 102.5 FM studio at 1411 Franklin Street here in Jonesboro. More information is available by calling KLEK at 870-277-1080 or visiting the KLEK website at www.klekfm.org and clicking Community Events.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, just talking about all kinds of things going on in the community and with the Jonesboro Police Department. And of course, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook Live feed.
All right, so are there any final, I guess, tips and things you want to go over for the holidays, or just reminders for people going into the new year?
Yeah, again, we're at the holiday season again, and just things we've already talked about is just lock your vehicles at night, lock your houses. If you have packages coming in the mail, try to retrieve them off your porch as soon as possible. That's kind of a big thing across the country. They call it porch pirating.
And don't leave the boxes near the house.
Stealing packages. So just be mindful of what you have coming to you and try to retrieve it as soon as possible to avoid that happening to you. Remember, traffic in Jonesboro is going to be quite congested between now and the first of the year. We have people from all over northeast Arkansas coming to town and shop and eat and things like that. So be kind to one another. Just slow down, be mindful, and be courteous. People need to get in and out of traffic too, and just try not to be in a hurry and avoid those wrecks, because our wrecks will increase this time of year, and we already have way too many wrecks a month anyway, and we certainly don't need any more. And so just
And about those accidents, like last week, there were two major accidents. One was on Hilltop, and one was on Southwest Drive, where multiple vehicles were involved. So the traffic is definitely increasing exponentially. So what steps are JPD taking to try to help mitigate and control the traffic, because it's getting to a point where it's overwhelming the roads that we currently have?
Well, that's not a PD thing. It's a city engineering deal to look at our infrastructure and try to keep up. And it takes money to widen roads and add roads and things like that, and so sometimes the money's there and sometimes the money's not. So we have to expand and do road work as the money is available in the budget. So, but the city has done things like made dedicated right turn lanes at some intersections at Wendover and Harrisburg, and there at Red Wolf and Ray Street. Those are some new things that happened here recently.
Okay.
There's intersections like that, and then also at Phillips in Caraway, we put a dedicated right turn lane in. So it helps keep that traffic from stacking up, and it's helped out quite a bit. So the city's looking at expanding our city backup batteries for our major intersections. So if the power goes down, that traffic light still runs. And I don't have to jeopardize an officer's safety and put them out in that intersection to work at traffic. Yeah. So we have several lights in the city that already have backups and backup batteries, and this year we hope to expand that even more, so we can, in time of disaster or power outages or whatever, our main traffic signals can still function. And just a quick reminder, if the signal is completely out, treat that intersection like a four-way stop.
Okay. I know people are going to feel how they feel about law enforcement, but if you see an officer that's doing a great job, please tell them hello. True. Tell them thank you. I think it helps boost their self-esteem, their confidence in the job that they're doing for the community, and it kind of gives them that boost. Okay, I can keep going, and want to do more.
Right. They do, and it's for the most part, it's a thankless job, and people don't realize what they dedicate themselves to day in and day out, and what they have to go through day in and day out. And very seldom they get a lot of thanks for it. But this time of year, it's appreciated that like you said, just say, hey, thank you for what you've done. Not only to law enforcement, but our military personnel also. Mm-hmm. They're dedicating to protecting this country, and to say thank you for your service, it doesn't take but a second, but it means a lot to the person hearing it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so we thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information.
And doing the double shot today.
Okay.
Double shot today, and we're going to do a double shot the first Wednesday in January. So stay tuned with us. Coming up in January, we'll have morning prayer section with Reverend Oda, and then we'll do our community conversation at 9 o'clock that day. So.
All right.
So since it'll be after Christmas when we see you again, Chief, what is your JPD Christmas wish list? If Santa could bring JPD anything, what would he drop off at headquarters?
I wish Santa could just bring some peace and happiness to our community, and everybody just work together to solve the problems that we face day in and day out. Just the community to come together, look out for each other, take care of each other, be kind to one another.
All right.
Absolutely. And are there any other community service projects that JPD is going to be involved in for Christmas?
Pretty much we wrapped up everything we're going to do for the holidays, and come January we'll start our spring and summer planning.
And of course, I don't think we plugged the spring session of CPA.
No.
Correct. That will be, we are starting the planning stages on that. The dates are not set just yet, but again, the CPA program will run twice a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And so shortly, probably February, we'll start the spring session, and but when I come on next time, hopefully I have the date set, and we'll start recruiting for that class. Class will be limited to about 28 people, and again, it's I did some trimming. We cut it down to 10 weeks, and but it's 10 weeks, one night a week for 10 weeks, about 3 hours a night, and there's a lot of information about the police department that you get and go through, and some interaction with officers and different divisions of the department. And I think everybody that's gone through the program has enjoyed the program, and
well, I know I have.
It's been great for the community. We've graduated over 230 Jonesboro residents at this point in a 4-year period. So huge success, great turnout. I've acquired some ambassadors that I'm proud to have that helps to continue to support the police department day in and day out. So I appreciate those people that have gone through the program and stayed with us.
All right, well, Chief Elliott, as always, we thank you for coming on. We thank you for doing the double shot today. This is All Gospel Wednesday. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower, this is KLEK